Want to host a server at home, access your home router from anywhere you can get on the internet? Maybe give yourself a secure and safe VPN from any nasty old internet cafe or airport Wi-Fi system? Use FTP to download files from home? No problem, at least not if you have a static IP address. Chances are, though, you don't. So we're going to walk you through dynamic DNS on this episode of System. Today's episode of System is brought to you by Netflix.com, Squarespace.com, and GoDaddy.com. Welcome to System. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Roger Chang.
So, do you want to run a home server?
Yes.
Do you want to FTP into your home network to get your favorite files?
Possibly.
Do you want to be able to upload stuff to your home network from the road?
Potentially.
How about VPNing a secure connection from that horrible, nasty, who knows what's going on internet cafe to a fairly secure connection to your broadband at home?
Might come in handy sometime.
Especially when you're in that airport in Vegas. Because what happens at the network in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. There's a problem, though.
What?
DHCP, your home network, or basically your IP address for your cable modem or your DSL modem, is almost always dynamically applied. Basically, you start your machine or you start your home network router, and it goes, I need an address, and your DSL, your cable company, whoever provides your IP access, dynamically, they basically assign you a fresh available IP address. Why would that be a problem?
Well, if you think about most websites, most services online, you go to a specific address. And if that address changes over time, say you get the same address for a day, and then the next day you don't have it, someone goes to your website, goes to it, won't find it there anymore. And it's really important because, if you're constantly bouncing around with a different IP all the time, people are never going to track you. It's like changing apartments all the time.
Changing phone numbers all the time.
Changing phone numbers all the time. It's difficult to track down those people.
That would be bad. So you could get a static IP.
You could, but then they would charge you even more. Because not only do you get a static IP, they're also assuming that you're going to run some sort of service off it, so they're going to milk you for even more money.
They're going to discourage static IP. Well, you're actually, I guess, on your DSL supplier wanted to basically double the cost of your DSL connection.
So I was paying $50 for 1 megabit connection, and
wanted around the year 2000.
Wanted another $35. Basically $40 once you total everything for a static IP and slightly bigger upload bandwidth.
Right. So a static IP is normally what you need to find your server or to log into on a VPN or something like that. So we're going to talk about today using DIN DNS or dynamic DNS to get around the fact that who knows what your IP address is on a given day. How are we going to do that? Well, let's talk about what you need first.
Hey, I'm Mauricio, the editor of System, and I'm here to tell you about Squarespace, the smarter web publishing site that takes the WTF out of blogging. Squarespace is a fully hosted environment, which means you don't have to worry about installing any code on any server. That, combined with the great template designs, got me to take advantage of their 14-day free trial. I was up and running within an hour, and that includes the complete importing of my previous blog with their import tools. And even better, use the code SYSTEM, that's SYSTM, to get 10% off the life of your order. So head on over to squarespace.com and you won't be disappointed.
Well, first of all, you do need a constant broadband connection, so cable, DSL.
In any case, you basically, you can do this over a dial-up connection, but you don't want to. Yeah. You're going to need to leave a machine on at home 24/7 and a dynamic DNS provider. We're using DinDNS.com on this show because, well, we're familiar with it, or at least I am. There are a ton of other providers. We'll put a link in the show notes to a bunch of them so you can check them out.
But to borrow one of your Patrick-isms, time out. What is DNS?
So the domain name system, right? So you type in www.google.com. And the domain name system takes something a human understands, or a typical human, let's say an English major like me. I understand google.com. I'm probably not going to understand like 174.22.14.111, or if I do understand it and think of that as the phone number for the website I want to go to, I'm probably not going to be able to remember
It's, well,
that set of dotted quads for all this different stuff.
Taking your phone number analogy, imagine all the people you have on your cell phone. I have alone 30 plus people, not because I'm popular, but just because I need them. I don't know 80% of their phone numbers. I have everyone on the speed dial, and I know them by their name. Like, I know Patrick Norton, I know Serafina. I go to Serafina. I don't go to her phone number because I don't remember it. You know, who wants to go to, 64.72.83.1 instead of just Google or Amazon or whatever, which is a lot easier to remember.
Or more importantly, for big companies or for people that have a high profile and get attacked a lot, they sometimes want to shuffle around their IP addresses or need to be able to change them. And it would be tough to be like emailing everybody who ever wants to visit your website. So the DNS servers, they're essentially the 411 for the internet, right? So you type in the URL and it gives you, basically automatically hooks you up to the right server. So that's basically what DNS is. Dynamic DNS is a way around the fact that your local machine has an IP that can vary at any time, right? So what Dynamic DNS does is automatically updates the DNS servers with the information on the current IP address for your machines. Basically, there's a little client that runs on your Mac machine, your Windows machine, your Linux machine, and basically every X number of seconds updates the mothership, in my case, the dindns.com, and lets them know what my current IP address is.
Yeah, if you do want to enable Dynamic DNS, is you need to actually sign up for an account. And what we're going with is
DNS.
DNS, and from what I understand, at least from you, it's free.
Yes, they start at free.
They start at free, which is cool.
Free. No money, no credit card, well, you do have to sign up.
Sure.
So we're going to add a new host name.
Okay.
And so we can do Roger. Let's turn the caps off. Roger.
Roger.
Do you want to do Roger?
Roger. Yeah, that sounds good.
Now, you notice
I'm very uncreative when it comes to names. Jolly Roger. Oh, Roger Rabbit. There. That's creative. I've never heard that one before.
Jolly Roger. That's too long to type. Can we do Jolly Roger? Because the other problem is, if you're doing a free version, what's going to happen is it's not going to give you like a straight URL like www.roger.com. What you're going to get is jollyroger.something.net or .cx. So it could be blog DNS. boldlygoingnowhere.org, dnsalias.org.com, .net. So which one do you like?
What has the fewest letters?
dns.tv.
Sure.
All right. So you got host with IP address, web hop redirect, offline host name. The basic way to do this is to host with an IP address. Now, with the IP address here, it's going to use the auto-detected IP address. And we're going to talk about that in a second. You basically get 5 addresses for free, and if you want to do what they call a custom address, we'll talk about that in a second, which is basically doing dynamic DNS for a URL like a regular whatever.
So www.jollyroger.com.
Yeah, that you're going to have to do a custom configuration. That costs money. Sorry. Now, but basically once this is set, you can use the auto-detected IP address and yay!
Hey.
jollyroger.dindns.tv has been created.
That's not a mouthful at all.
Why you gotta be that way, Roger? So next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna download the client, and the easiest way I've found to find the client, because I've never been able to find it on the DNS webpage, is to type in DNS client or update client. Look, it even shows up in Google.
So quick question, is this service only for Windows, or can you do this off a Linux box or OS X machine?
Well, look at this. We've got a Windows client, a Linux Unix client, and a Macintosh update client.
Perfect.
Yes.
System.
It's time now for a Netflix-sponsored pick of the week. This week, we've done Firefly.
Yes, we've done Firefly.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
We've done that.
Patton.
No, we haven't done Pat.
Just one of the 90,000 titles Netflix has to offer. You know what? We can probably list movies and anime and television shows all day long. Blu-ray titles out the yin-yang, and you're going to find them at Netflix.com, and you're probably not going to find them at your local video store. 40 shipping centers, which means all deliveries happen. They mail it to your door.
Which is awesome, because you don't need to go outside, don't need to get wet, just in the mail slot and back into the mail.
Shipping both ways costs you nothing. They got the online download service if you have one of the fat plans. Plans start at a mere $4.99. That's $5 a month, but we know times are tight. As a system viewer, you can get a free trial by signing up today at www.netflix.com/system. Help support System by supporting our sponsors, please.
System.
So DNS, this is the update client downloading. It's like 400K. It takes up no space. The license agreement nobody cares about, but you do actually want it to start with your operating system if you want this to basically be usable if your machine reboots or if you reboot your machine. It's just simple and easy to do. The other thing you want to do is you install the DNS updater as a Windows service. That way, if your machine's running and no one's logged in, it will still do its thing and allow your basically allow the IP address information to be hosted.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah, so check that box there, and who cares where it gets installed? I certainly don't. And in 2 seconds, it's going to launch for us. Ta-da!
Yay, it launched.
Yay! So you're going to need your password for your account, and of course your username for that. So, hey, wait a minute. Shouldn't there be another one? Okay, so we're going to manage that one. And let's take a look at managing our... So basically, if you hit the Manage Host button, it's going to launch the DNS web page. Where is Jolly Roger? Oh, I forgot one thing to do. So when you create one of these host names, you actually, even though you're not paying anything, you basically have to go to the checkout.
And check out.
Yeah, because if you don't, it won't activate your services.
So in other words, you go through the motions of a capitalistic transaction, but you really don't.
You don't pay anything.
Yeah.
And they don't have any credit card information or anything like that. So that's our, there we go, so we're in there. So let's go back to our little client, and I'm going to refresh the host list. Look at that!
Yay!
Yay!
Now I'm online.
Yes, yes you are.
That is so dope.
I don't even know where to go with that. So, DNS returned good. Your IP address is now synchronized with your homepage. Basically means it's sending the information up to the mothership at dndns.com so that when somebody types in jollyroger.dndns.tv,
it will go to nothing.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. If you want your actual URL, like jollyroger.com or
to pull up a web page,
slammed. Well, if you want to use something like basically the free ones are the ones that are like dndns.tv, kicks-ass.com, whatever that is, where basically appendage. You can get anything you want, but it's going to have this weird appendage on the end of it. If you want like jollyroger.com, assuming you actually own that URL, you're going to need to do what they call a custom DNS. So, for me, it's like slamdanceindustry.com. You don't need to transfer your domain because you already own it. You're going to select custom DNS. And, well, actually, why don't I show you on the web page on that one
cool.
real quick.
I don't want my appendage.
Well, let me go over to zone level services. I'm going to add a custom DNS. And when they say custom DNS, that just means like your URL. So I'll say this is one I own, Slam Dance Industry. And I'm not going to register it because I already own it. I'm not going to transfer the domain. I'm perfectly happy with GoDaddy.com. Speaking of which, we'd like to thank GoDaddy.com.
System.
Let's take a moment to thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of System, GoDaddy.com. Hey, did we mention URLs today? Do you want to make an impact online? Then you should definitely check out GoDaddy.com. They have what you need, starting at less than $5 a month. Web hosting from GoDaddy.com includes 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to the GoDaddy hosting connection. That is the place to quickly install over 50 free applications like WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, OS Commerce, and quite a few more. GoDaddy.com makes it easy to customize your own virtual dedicated server. You can choose one of 3 popular plans or select your own Linux or Windows server with all the plan options you need. You want a discount? Times are hard. We got you covered. Entering code SYS1 when you check out, you're going to score an additional 10%. That's a good discount off your entire order. Some restrictions apply. See the site for details. Do us a favor here at System. Get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com and use that code SYS1 to score 10% off your order.
System.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to do custom DNS. Secondary DNS or none, basically none if you're registering here. Secondary DNS, if you don't know what it is, you don't need it. Email routing allows you to do things like configure your email so that anybody who sends anything to @slamdanceindustry.com, you can send it to another mail server or you can basically route it to a junk mailbox or something like that. We're going to do none on that because I'm cheap, and then Ta-da! Basically, to do the custom DNS is going to cost you $27.50 unless you're getting the fat deal. Now, a lot of home routers, for example, I'm running the Tomato firmware on my router. A lot of what they call modern home routers actually will accept dynamic IP system, or excuse me, dynamic DNS systems like DIN DNS. DIN DNS would actually prefer you run their client, so I do. If you are going to run a HTTP server, an FTP server, or whatever server, you are going to need to set up port forwarding on your router. I assume you have a router or a firewall. Please tell me you have a firewall and a router set up in your home server. You're going to need to set up port forwarding on your router to access a web server. You know, port 80 for HTTP, FTP is usually port 21, and to basically pass through those packets, because normally firewalls kind of freak out at outgoing web services or FTP services. So you got your dynamic DNS set up, right? DNS is running. We've got our URLs typed in place. So you got to resolve something. You got to connect to something. So we're going to look at HFS. It's basically a super simple, super tiny, super easy Windows-based HTTP file server. And you install it, you link it to the URL or the IP address on the system, and to add a folder, you just add folder from disk, and what it does is it actually makes it available. So if I want to go into my documents, I can make my music folder available. I'm going to hit OK on that one, and I'll do a real folder because it should be a big file because it's my music. And when I remote access into that, and in case you're wondering why we have it set to port 13,000, if you're an eagle-eyed, IP-savvy kind of guy or gal there at home, instead of being port 80, it's at port 13,000 because port 80 is blocked for outgoing on the network I'm connected on, and port 13,000, which I randomly chose, is not. So now when you look at that remotely, you get something like this. This is the basic end user interface of this one. So I'm going to click on My Music, iTunes, and it's probably going to be pretty much nothing available inside of there because I haven't put anything on this machine yet. But if I go to my important backup folder, right click, and I can save my super important document down to my desktop and replace the one that's already there.
Ooh. Well, that's all well and good, but what if you want to upload files? Say someone needs to send you something important.
Or I want to be able to remotely upload to my machine. So you're going to basically enable a file, or basically a folder for uploading. So we're going to go to Add Files. Actually, we're not going to go to Add Files, sorry. I'm going to go to Add a Folder from Disk, and in this case, I'm going to do a new folder, make new folder. We'll call it Uploads.
Uploads.
Remote. And now, when I close that in, I need to make that a real folder. It's really critical to make that a real folder. It's not going to work if you don't make it a real folder. And when I right-click on Uploads Remote, I'm going to go in there and set it to upload. And you can do two things. You can let anyone upload, or you basically can create a lockdown account for that. Creating a lockdown account is great if you don't want anyone to be able to put weird stuff in your machine. But for now, we're just going to use sort of obscurity, security by obscurity, and we've set up the Uploads Remote. So when I log into this remotely, I'm going to refresh this. I know I'm doing this on a local machine, bear with me. And I go to Uploads Remote. I'm going to basically pick a file. So how about we go with the FileZilla server. I'm going to open that and add a progress frame just for fun, and oops.
Hit the upload file.
Well, I'm going to add that file again since it seems to have disappeared. Open, there it is, and when I hit the upload file button, we should get a progress. Is it already up there? Is it already up there?
Is it magic?
Well, just basically copy it locally, but you get the idea.
It's magic.
Well, watch the uploads folder for a second, right? So I'll do it remotely off of this machine.
So he's going to do, so keep an eye on this folder that we have right here.
And there it goes.
Ooh.
I probably should have picked a smaller file since it's like 67 kilobits per second over my really weird connection. In any case, so dynamic DNS, easy to configure, lots of alternatives to DNS. I just like it because it just works and it's been working for a long time. If you have some ideas for us, kick them in. We've got some cool stuff coming up. I believe week after next will be the legendary lightsaber episode.
Yes.
Yes.
I like my sound of you.
Arduino boards are coming in probably in the next 5 or 6 weeks, and the week after next, I'm not going to tell you because you'll probably weep and not leave your house with joy between now and then. We got to tell people about the survey.
Yes, a survey. We're conducting a survey to get some additional information about you, our viewers. We would love your feedback, and if you have a few minutes to spare, please do us a favor and take the survey at revision3.com/system survey. And as thanks for completing the survey, you will be treated to a sneak peek at a new show we've been working on.
And hey, email us with your ideas, your comments, your suggestions, system@revision3.com.
Don't forget to visit the forums at revision3.com/forum. And of course, all our old shows are available on the archives at revision3.com/system.
Next week, Robert Heron joins us to get into fine-tuning your HDTV signal, the screen, the image. He's going to make
The
your
color.
HDTV look gorgeous and show you how you can do it at home. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Roger Chang.
We'll see you next week.